Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. I'm going to talk about some companies that I'm following closely that had some news out. Before I get started with that, we'll talk a little bit about the market. One thing I'm seeing, and as everybody knows, gold is now broken well over 2,000. That seemed to be a psychological barrier that we've now passed. I think the US dollar is looking for excuses to drop and is getting a lot of reasons to drop. As you can see here, we're now trading at well under the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average. And I think what we're going to see is that the 50-day and the 200-day start moving on a bearish slope. The correction really started back here in late September, has been under a lot of pressure in October, November, December. January was a very negative month. You had it crossing a death cross here. It did get a bounce into the February when some good employment numbers came out. And then in March, you had the banking crisis started, and recently we've had some negative numbers on the employment. My basic argument is that the Federal Reserve is breaking things all over the place. It's broken the housing market, the auto sales, the big ticket items. Consumers are working on payday to payday, check to check sort of thing, and making ends meet by using their credit card, and they sadly have to pay 19% interest because of this overzealous campaign by the Federal Reserve to try to fight inflation by raising interest rates. I think if they ever wanted to fight inflation, they'd have to first recognize that they caused the inflation. After the 2008 economic crisis, you had 14 years of near zero interest rates, real interest rates quite below that when you factor in inflation. And, they caused this problem by jacking up rates by up to 5% in their recent meeting. And when you go from 0 to 5, you're going to cause some problems. And the big problems that they've caused of late are the banking crisis. I think that's just getting started. There's a contagion that will take effect because a lot of assets, a lot of institutions are holding assets that were built up during the near zero interest rates environment and that are now underwater, like Silicon Valley Bank. And to be quite honest, and I don't hear it enough, the Federal Reserve is sitting on just as bad of a balance sheet. They were the major buyer of bonds and debt, mortgage-backed securities over the last while the interest rates were near zero, and now they're well underwater as well. And so I think we're just seeing this starting of the banking crisis. Inflation, they can't do anything about it. You cause it, you got to realize you caused it in order to see anything happen about it. Currency wars, now we're seeing a lot of countries, that are realizing that, after many years of the United States being the bully with their world reserve currency, now they're starting to have competition for that. I think that competition is a good thing. And, the competitors are backing their dollars up with owning gold. They're buying gold hand over fist. And I think that's a smart move to have some alternative trading currencies. And that's what we're seeing. And after the jobs report came out a couple of days ago, very much more negative than was anticipated. Now we're hearing that the central bank is going to start their own digital currency called Fed Now. in July. You know, I just think that they're like they're flailing away, like, you know, like they have no backbone, and trying whatever will stick. And, you know, the biggest thing that I see happening is they're going to have to stop raising interest rates. They're going to have to let the economy stay stronger than they are comfortable with, and inflation stronger than they're comfortable with, and hope to God that the politicians start reining in their horns a little bit on spending. The Fed is really making me angry, because I got to agree with someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She and a few other politicians in Washington are talking about a gold standard. You know, that's really what I think is needed. And I think investors should go on their own gold standard. If you want to protect your money, I think the best place to protect it is in gold and silver. Silver is lagging gold quite significantly, and that's a great place to park your cash. Here's gold. It's trading well above the 50-day moving average, 120 some bucks above the 50-day moving average, and over 200 and let's say 240 above the 50-day moving average. The 50-day moving average is now turning upwards into a bullish trend. The 50-day, that's the 200-day trending upwards. The 50-day is trending upwards, and the price is trending upwards. And I think it's got a lot higher to go. And I think it's the best parking spot. Gold and silver are the best parking spot for investors that want to protect their money against the inflation, against the banking crisis, currency wars, all of this nonsense that we're seeing out there by the Federal Reserve and the Treasury and the FDIC. I mean, they're talking about backing up all deposits for $18 trillion. You know, if that doesn't send a message to people that they're flailing away, I don't know what will. But I hope some people are smart enough to start protecting their money with their own gold standard, and a silver standard at that, for that matter. Here you can see silver, as gold is very powerful and headed much higher. Silver is following suit, but it had a tougher time in here, this sideways trend from mid-December until February, then went into a serious drop. It's still, gold is nearing its all-time highs, and silver is still half price off of its all-time highs. Silver's got a lot higher to go in this bull market trend. Copper, big fan of copper. You've got the electrical vehicle revolution, and all of these countries that have these aging infrastructures like the United States are going to have to rewire, and that's going to take a lot of copper. The alternative energy sources are going to take a lot of copper, and so we kind of got a perfect storm for copper as well. It's been going sideways for the past, since February, but I think it's ready for a breakout. Okay, so let's get into some stocks now. McEwen Mining had a press release out earlier today. In it, they said significant infill drill intercepts, 0.5% of copper over 502 meters. In that was 0.87% copper over 172 meters. They had a 1% copper over 282 meters, including 1.4% copper over 172 meters. They had 0.66% over 500 meters. Included in that was 0.92% copper over 276 meters. What really stood out to me is this down here. You'll take a look. Okay, so that's the pit design. But okay, so here's one group of holes. Look at all that nice high-grade material for an open pit. But look at this. This is the concept. This green stuff is the conceptual pit model in their economic evaluation. But look at this high grade that's kicking in underneath this pit here. I think they're going to have to change the design of their pit to increase and capture a lot of this high grade. You're seeing it in this hole as well. Look at below the pit design. You've got lots of high grade material well below the pit. Here again, look at all of this well below the pit. You know, they're infilling and they're extending underneath the pit design. Here again, look at all of this material below the pit. Over here again, another hole pending over here. Look at all this nice high-grade material over here. This is, I've done several interviews with Rob McEwen, and what he points out is that he talks about this as being a multi-generational project that could last into the several decades. And this latest drilling that they've been doing only adds fuel to that argument. As you can see here, this is a 30-year pit in their 2017 preliminary economic assessment. But they're getting all of this high grade well underneath the pit. And it's looking quite spectacular. They've had a couple of great investments from Newton, as I've talked about. Newton's a venture of Rio Tinto. And what's impressive about that is they did two investments, somewhere in the 20 and one in the 30 million range. And in between that, they got to look at their material and assess their technology to increase the recovery of copper and do it faster. And that combination will only go to the bottom line. And in their 2017 preliminary economic assessment, they had a very handsome project that makes it one of the top 10 undeveloped copper projects in the world and in the bottom quartile of costs. If they can increase the grade recovery and increase the pace of getting it out of there, which it looks like that's what this double investment by Newton is suggesting, those economic numbers are only going to get better. And I believe that you're also going to see copper a lot higher. The supply chain of copper is very, very weak. You know, for much of my career, been in this business for 30 years, you could see weeks and months worth of inventory in the metals warehouses of the world. Now you're down to a day or two. You know, and anything, the Chilean workers go on strike, and you could see a very short pop, an aggressive pop that really brings attention to how weak the supply chain is for copper. There's just not enough good copper stories out there. And McEwen Copper, which is a 52% owned by McEwen Mining, I think is a heck of a good opportunity. The only way you can get into it is through McEwen Mining. And Stellantis is also putting $150 million into the company. So McEwen Copper is a big winner. I think all of the efforts that McEwen Mining is making to on their gold production is why their stock has gone from, just in the last 6 months, almost from about $4 Canadian to $12 Canadian. And I think it's still very, very cheap. I see explorers out there with nothing near what McEwen Mining has, trading for much higher valuations. So you've got a good opportunity to look at a copper or a gold turnaround story on gold mining operations and an exceptional asset in their copper asset. Copper project called McEwen Copper that I think is without a doubt going to be a future mine. All right, Let's look over at IAD Gold. I talked to you and Downey after this news went out, but I wanted to re-emphasize the importance of what I seen in this news release. IAD Gold provides comprehensive 2023 exploration and development outline. They provided to the Lone Tree cost estimate and announces multiple new discoveries at Ruby Hill. Highlights and initiatives, Ruby Hill property, major drill program underway, preliminary economic assessment being completed for the underground gold mineralization, permitting ongoing for underground development, detailed metallurgical work and processing plant under development. That's at Ruby Hill. At Granite Creek, underground development progress, mining rate increasing, economic studies, and revised resource estimate being completed. At the Lone Tree property, cost estimate for the restart of the autoclave facility completed and work on the Class 3 engineering study underway, ongoing residual leach program, McCoy Cove property, underground development progress to more than 70% completion, 40,000 meters of underground drill program underway, Buffalo Mountain project property drilling program completed in late 2022, assessing potential for an open pit mining operation. You know, this company has a tremendous group of assets, not just they've got their mining facilities to process the material at 2 locations. They've got all of these great projects at Ruby Hill, at Granite Creek, at Lone Tree, at McCoy Cove, Buffalo Mountain. Ewan Downey said, and I quote, 2023 is expected to be a catalyst-rich year with exploration, development, and mining projects completed by economic studies and resource updates. This work will continue to provide information so that we can make an informed decision relating to the sequencing of the startup of our 2 processing facilities to achieve our industry best production growth plan. You know, the writing's on the wall, folks, and IAD Gold is going to grow into a much bigger company, multiples of its current valuation in the coming future, the near and the longer term. Here's some of here's the exciting discoveries they've made at Hilltop. Look at this photo, East Hilltop CRD discovery, massive sulfide mineralization in hole IR23-10. And look at this material, these massive sulfides in here just look beautiful and look like they're going to carry excellent grade when they report those. That's pending. Hole 09. Now, this is a very interesting hole. It's, let me get down to this map. Sorry, I went a little too far there. Got a little too excited. Hole number 9 here, over here. Hole 2309, assays pending. They got a couple nice hits there, and you can see that in this image here. Again, lots of sulfides in this core. Looks like it's going to run really nicely. And then you go deeper, and they got the Carlin type mineralization that, like they found at Ruby Hill. This rock here is very reminiscent of what they found at Ruby Hill that kicked out some very excellent grades. Here's a cross section. You can see the upper hilltop. There's a beautiful zone developing there. You got something great starting over here. They've only got a few holes into it. But as they drill more, I think, you know, you get 12% zinc there over 40 meters. And these 2 are pending. Down here, you've got the lower hilltop, and it's growing into something that's going to look like this and probably bigger. It's got a second lower portion here. This looks like your classic sort of CRD with the multiple horizons in it. Then over here, you've got the couple 100 meters away, you've got this new CRD breccia that was hit. And the massive sulfides. This company, as Ewan said, it's a catalyst-rich company. And as we get into a stronger market for gold. I think that a lot of new investors are going to come into the space. And when they do, this is the kind of company that they're going to come looking for. And I think they've got a great future ahead of them. IAD Gold is a sponsor of my shows, and I've done a lot of interviews with you and Downey. You can find those on my YouTube channel at Rocks and Stocks News, or on my Substack at rocksandstocks.substack.com. Okay, a new sponsor, Suma Silver, freshly printed new sponsor. Been talking a lot about their project in New Mexico, but they've also got this great project in Tonopah, Nevada. Summa Silver prepares spring drill program at the Hughes high-grade silver project in Nevada. Look at the the highlights. High potential targets, epithermal gold and silver targets were selected based on detailed interpretation of geophysics, geochemistry, and geological mapping. Follow-up drilling at the Ruby discovery. Holes are planned to aggressively step out from holes drilled in this area in 2020 and 2021. These holes intersected local zones of mineralization, wide zones of veining, extensive hydrothermal alteration, 1.3 kilometers along strike from the historic mines of the Tonopah district. New targets include emerald, diamond, sapphire, and topaz. These 4 new targets, which were previously unrecognized, represent significant discovery opportunities just outside of the historic Tonopah mining district. Drill rigs scheduled. Contracts have been signed for both RC and core drilling rigs, with work scheduled to begin in early May. So we're only looking 3 or 4 weeks away from drilling started. Permits applications approved, fully funded, 10 million in cash. And by the way, before they start this drilling, they've got about a group of holes still pending from their New Mexico project, which is another very high grade discovery that they're making. Galen McNamara, who's the CEO, stated, and I quote, "After extensive background work, we have defined numerous targets across the eastern side of the Hughes project," said huge by accident there, Hughes project, that will be systematically drill tested in the coming weeks. These targets, which are within sight of one of the most prolific American high-grade silver districts known, represents unique discovery opportunities, and the team is eager to start drilling here again before returning to the Mogollon project in the fall. So they've got holes pending from Mogollon, which is the New Mexico project. Then they're going to start drilling in Tonopah, Nevada, have a bunch of results out from that. Then they get back into drilling on Mogollon. Lots of great stuff. You should read through this news release. It gives you lots of great details. Here's some of their geophysical anomalies that they're going to get after. Some great looking geophysical anomalies. You can see here, over here, down here, here. I don't even know the priority, but here's, I think, their first target, which is this Ruby discovery area. Here's where they hit all their high grade results. And it looks like this contact between these two anomalies, especially into this green stuff, is quite exceptional. They've got more of it on the top. So who knows, maybe this wraps around and continues much deeper. You got to bear in mind that there are limits to geophysics. So this is probably more related to the limits of the that the survey can reach to. But when you start seeing this kind of stuff and a lot more of it to drill into, it looks like it's got quite a story. This is the calcite cemented polymetallic breccia. These textures and alteration minerals are interpreted to represent the upper expression of a prospective epithermal vein system at depth. So what that means is in these epithermal vein systems, when you're above the boiling zone, this is the kind of rock that you're going to see. And you got to drill deeper to get into the boiling zone. And when you get into the boiling zone of an epithermal vein, they can be quite spectacular. There's things like Las Chispas in Mexico, and it's indicative of the kind of thing you find in epithermal veins. Low cost, high grade, high margins, much free cash flow. Mag Silver, same story. They've got their Fresnillo mine that they're getting low cost, high grade, and tremendous free cash flow. I love epithermal vein systems, and this company has something exciting in Nevada and also in New Mexico. So take a look at them. Kuya Silver has just popped onto my radar screen with some news they had out yesterday. Kuya Silver announces newly discovered Angus vein assaying 16,800 grams per ton of silver over 3.04 meters. And that calculates to 1.68%. That's insanely high numbers, including 74,418 grams of silver over 0.3 meter at their Campbell Crawford target Silver Kings project in Cobalt, Ontario. Highlights Kuya Silver expediting the assaying of 3.8 meters of visually identified silver mineralization in hole 23SK08. Best assay intercept to date 74,000. That's 2,400 ounces of silver over 0.3 meters. Composite interval 16,838 grams per ton of silver over 3 meters. Logging indicates additional silver cobalt mineralization in this hole. 7 drill holes at Campbell Crawford area intersected up to 6 silver cobalt mineralized vein per drill hole. The company intersected multiple silver cobalt mineralized veins per drill hole at a range of depths and with different orientations, suggesting that this is more likely a mineralized vein cluster and not an isolated vein. Campbell Crawford discovery is located approximately 1 kilometer north of the North Drummond area and 750 meters southeast of a 1,300-ounce silver intercept from 1981 underground drilling by Silver Century Explorations. Just off the charts numbers. There's some of the drill core that released that or hit that, and they got lots of really good data in here. You should take a look at this if you're interested in Kuya. I'm going to pull up their chart here just to show you what happens when you hit some spectacular silver grades. As you can see here, the stock has been in blast-off mode since down here at about 20 cents. It's now at 50 cents. Still trading just above the 200-day moving average. The 50-day moving average is turning up. They are probably 2 or 3 weeks away from a golden cross. I sure wish I started covering it earlier, but I still think that this is very early days for this project in in an area that's well known for these high-grade silver occurrences. They look like Kuya Silver has something special on their hands. And the final company today is Massivo Silver Corp, which is a sponsor of my shows. Masivo Silver to process gold and silver minerals in Mexico. They announced that they're begun servicing and upgrading its equipment at the company's 300-ton per day facility in the state of Nayarit, Mexico. Masivo intends to bulk sample gold and silver mineral coming from La Nueva Victoria mining claims in the state of Nayarit. where the company previously sampled up to 9.73 grams per ton gold and 155 grams per ton silver. The company is also negotiating with public and private mining groups in the vicinity with significant potential for processing mineral over the longer term via a tolling revenue profit sharing business model agreement. Profits received by Masivo will be used to supplement the company's exploration and drilling programs in Nevada and Mexico. Massivo will continue to look for more processing opportunities in the area now that the precious metals market is up. Brian Brewer, who's a qualified person for Massivo, stated, "We're excited to restart the mill and commence processing ore from mining companies in the region and generate revenue from toll milling of third-party ore," end quote. David Coburn, who's the CEO, stated, and I quote, "While the main focus of Masivo continues to be our exploration project in Nevada, we are very excited to move forward with milling operations in Mexico. There seems to be a high demand for processing gold and silver minerals from Nayarit and surrounding states within Mexico," end quote. So Masivo, this could be a nice cash generating opportunity for them. But the key project for them is in Nevada. In Nevada, they have one of these historical mines that, was mining back in the around the Second World War. They recently went in there with some new drilling underneath the old mine workings and hit some excellent grades so far for the early stages of drilling. Not too long ago, I did an interview with Brian Brewer and David Coburn. I would recommend you look that up on YouTube at Rocks and Stocks News on YouTube or on my Substack at rocksandstocks.substack.com. I'm really impressed with the team that David has put together. Brian Brewer is a very talented geologist who was part of the Mine Finders team. Mine Finders had phenomenal success. They started up from a tiny little penny stock and ultimately found a mine and were bought out. And Mark Bailey, who's was the CEO of Mine Finders, is also involved with Massivo Silver. These guys don't get involved for the fun of it. And Brian Brewer, in our recent interview, did an exceptional job of telling just how significant their project and their recent drilling in Nevada is. And I highly recommend you check that out. All right, folks, so that's my In the News show for today. As always, do your homework, speak with your financial advisors before making any investment decisions. And the big one is do that homework. That's why I do my interviews. It's to help you get inside the brains of the people that are running these companies that are my sponsors and my picks. And I think that's a great place to start your homework. And then go to their websites, check out their news releases, check out their corporate presentations. I'm such a big proponent of doing your homework thing. It's what I base the Rocks and Stocks News on. But the reason I do that is over my career in the business for 3 decades, the people that have made the most money are not the short-term traders that trade based on emotions that are caused by the daily fluctuations or hourly or minute fluctuations in a junior mining stock. It's those that do their homework and take big positions when they find something that's tremendously undervalued and then let it grow. And that's the recipe for success, not just in the mining sector, but in any sector. So that's why I'm always harping on doing your homework, and why I provide all the reports that I do is to help my audience do that homework. On that note, have a great day and we'll talk to you soon.